Hello everyone. Today there was an editorial on National Family Health Survey Report 5, and it is very important for our sociology optional paper too, because we have a specific segment called population dynamics, and it talks about issues related to sex issues, child and infant mortality, reproductive health, population policy, family planning, and what are the components of population growth, and related to the social demography. So this editorial is very crucial for that. And now talking about family planning through sociological lens, it is very important to have some idea, basic idea, how family planning evolved. So that is one segment that we need to prepare while dealing with this segment. So family planning, soon after independence, the whole approach was quite different. It was more like a top bottom approach. We were only talking about a family planning in terms of reducing the population size. The whole idea was a use of force through public policy and through a lot of mechanisms, how population growth can be curtailed to a certain level. This was related to the whole idea of development, which believed that as industries develop, as societies develop, we need to have less population growth rate, because with better health facilities, the population growth rate should kind of decline. This was very much related to the whole modernization theory that the West was promoting, and also India and other developing nations were kind of following. That is one way that we need to understand. So try and get hold of the whole idea of family planning, how it evolved in India and in the West, but particularly in India, how we approached it soon after independence, and what are the ways that we are approaching now. One very important thing is that family planning in India became a very important issue soon after independence, and India was one of those major countries that actually brought up public policy and talked about family planning in much depth, but took up family planning in the public policy. India was one of the first nations, but we failed because our approach was very flawed, and we missed out on a lot of dimensions while talking about family planning, which is related to women. The approach was not very inclusive for women. Their health and reproductive issues were not taken into account. It was not a bottom top approach, it was not inclusive. A lot of other aspects were not included. Now, when we are talking about family planning and population rate, we are also including women. We are talking about issues which are related to women, their health, the violence which is in the family, and what are the discriminatory social norms which are present in the family and in the society that impacts family planning and population growth. Education has become a very important social indicator when we are dealing with family planning, and this way family planning talks about women, places women and gender relations in the center while dealing with the issue of rate of population growth, and how population is not only to be approached as a public policy or as an issue related to development and modernization, but it also needs to be understood by including women and children, talking about their health, talking about education, talking about the patriarchal relations, and talking about women as agency, right? Very important, as agency of social change. So you can bring about a lot of things here. You can talk about social change in that question. You can talk about inclusivity of women, the structural social inequality which is present. Now, moving on to this particular editorial, I'll talk about the fodder that it provides you while writing answer. So the approach that we need for a GS answer would be very different as compared to the sociological answer. So NFHS provided the data, and it gave certain social indicators which is very encouraging, as the author says, because now we are talking about healthcare system, we are talking about population growth, and we are relating family planning, everything together. And he says that there is an improvement in gender-based violence in terms of the kind of approach it is. We are also talking about the harmful practices, for instance, the child marriage, gender bias sex selection. So earlier when we were talking about family planning, there was no discussion on child marriage. So it was not interrelated. We were talking about family planning and population growth, but we were not talking and discussing about child marriage at the same time. So child marriage was a different issue, not related to population or family planning. Now we have made everything holistic, or we are trying to make things holistic. We're also discussing about child marriage. We are talking about the whole menace of gender bias sex selection and the whole institution and the industry that goes on. How women, girl, child are neglected, and there is a patriarchal relation. So we are talking about the discriminatory social norms and practices that is hindering the development goals, right? So sustainable development goal is actually talking about uh, uh, is actually talking about family planning and everything, and development and modernization is related to family planning. That is something that is given. But how do we approach with it? We need to approach it while taking women and gender issues into the center. So first very positive aspect that the author notes is that there is a decline in total fertility rate. So it has reached from 2.2 to 2.0. First very important thing that we have reached out, the total fertility rate has declined, and we're about to it is below replacement level in most of the states. So that is one fact. And but what are the reasons behind it? And that we need to talk about. Population growth has stabilized. What does it mean? That the rate of population growth is not exponential. Population growth is not exponential. Definitely population is growing, but at a steady pace, which is a balanced way in which the population should move. And yeah, when the society is transitioning from a feudal setup to a modern setup which is industrialized, the population is a very important social indicator of development. So which is nice that the population is stabilizing. But what are the reasons how we have approached to this kind of a change? So the author talks about a major factor that has led to the decline in fertility rate. So are you trying to there is an interlinkage with the population growth, with family planning, and now we are talking about fertility rate, and these terms are mentioned in your paper optional too. So it talks about the reason why is the fertility rate declining. It is because we have adopted modern family planning methods, right? Family planning methods are modern. What does it mean? So family planning modern methods, would it also include contraceptives? It would talk about awareness, it would talk about institutional birth rates, birthing, the birth spacing, that is scientific. So all these modern family planning methods have been adopted. And secondly, it is kind of becoming inclusive in the sense that a lot of information which is related to better family planning and better reproductive rights is disseminating to the population, to the women, and to the rural population. We need to have an inclusive approach. We need to include villages and the rural sector, and we need to encourage we need to target that segment also, while which is a big segment. We need to target that while we are talking about family planning. um, Now sociology is about causal relation. Very important thing is that when you're writing answers and when you're also thinking sociologically while an editorial is in front of you, or a social issue is in front of you, try to relate it with sociological causes. So causal relation is a very scientific way in which a lot of sociologists approach an issue. So one important causal relation that we can establish through this editorial is that as female literacy increases, the uh, fertility rate declines, right? So as women are as women engage in higher studies, as education becomes very inclusive, and the literacy rate for women increases, they delay their marriages, right? They delay their marriages, and because there is an autonomy in the decision making, and because of financial independence and a lot of other factors, because they are engaged in employment related activities, so there is a decline in fertility. So it mentions that in other Asian countries too, fertility decline has taken place alongside notable improvements in access to quality education, especially girls education, right? So as it is a process, right? I mean, these are the phases in which this is the way in which we need to talk about family planning. So earlier when we were talking about family planning, it only meant, it was a kind of reward punishment game. We talked about how certain sectors in the economy, the job sector would be open to a certain class of family which had a number of kids, or the welfare schemes were distributed in a way that the family was organized. So family planning was related in terms of reward and punishment, right? Which is a very authoritarian way of dealing with an issue. We need to change behavior. There has to be a nudging, and there are different ways in which nudging can happen. And this is one important way, that you try and understand the reason. What is the structural reason, right? What is the structural reason for the increase in population, or for a specific kind of family that is explosive? So because we have poverty, because there is poverty, the distribution of resources within the household is very biased. It is gender biased. So women do not get education, girls do not get better health facility. This is one reason. And then there is an early marriage, and because there is an early marriage, the chances of having more children and the chances of having higher fertility rate increases. That is one thing. And so in order to tackle that, what we are trying to do, we are trying to engage women in education. We are trying to encourage education and employment. Recently you saw that there is this whole policy of increasing the marriage age of women. So that is another way that we can talk about family planning. So I hope this segment is very, very important for an answer, that there is a correlation between female literacy and female and family policy, right? Family planning. Then there are indicators that the health delivery system has improved. So okay, in the very prime stage, while we were discussing about family planning, we were discussing about lower population growth. It is very surprising that we were not talking about health. We were not talking about health services that are delivered to pregnant women. And so there was no talk about antenatal care, there was no talk about postnatal care. And even if there was a talk, a relation was not established, right? So what happens is that when you bring in the idea of antenatal care and postnatal care, the chances of female mothers mortality rate is better, and even the child mortality rate and the infant mortality rate is much, much better. So because the chances of survival of mother and the child is much greater when you provide better health services and an inclusive health service to everyone, it actually gives a behavioral change. There is this whole idea that the chances of the survival will be better, so less number of children are born in that particular family. So we are trying to interlink these ideas, maternal health services, and the institutional birthing is also very, very important. So earlier what used to happen, that there was this whole trend of traditional birthing, wherein there were midwives in the house and they delivered kids. So the chances of survival, the chances of infection was high, and it created a lot of health issues later on for the mother as well. So what is happening? We are talking about skilled birth attendant. We are also talking about institutional facilities which needs to be provided for women during birth and before birth and even after birth for some time. So, and how it needs to be area specific, definitely when you're talking about it. Then an important aspect that he talks about is the comprehensive sexuality education. There needs to be education in terms of reproductive rights of women and also sexuality education, both for school and out of school adolescents. So it has remained a taboo. We have not been talking about sexual education in school in a closed setup like India, but it is very, very important for the better health of women and also to understand the whole dynamics of how family planning and sexual education is kind of interlinked. Secondly, uh, a very important point that this segment on discriminatory social norms is that the right to bodily autonomy and integrity for women is very important, and the ability to take decisions about their lives. Proportion of women who use menstrual hygiene products has increased. So uh, why is women's decision making power very important? Because if women are empowered, if women are given decision making ability in the house, it has been noticed that women, when they are educated, when they have the decision making power in the house, and they have the idea of bodily autonomy, they they are able to decide and they are able to take better family planning decisions as compared to the entire family, because they realize that bodily autonomy and independence is very much interlinked to their health um, in specific. So we need to talk about women, we need to talk about gender justice, and it is important. So right, we need to talk about. So there is a need to enhance the value of women and girls by working on transforming unequal power relations, structural inequalities, and discriminatory norms, attitudes, and behaviors. Now we need to promote gender equal values. So there is a disproportionate burden on unpaid domestic and care work upon women values. So there is a disproportionate burden on unpaid domestic and care work upon women, and it is kind of hindering women's full time engagement. So we need to bring awareness about positive masculinities and gender equal values, and that would actually help us provide a target specific idea, and we need to collaborate with multiple stakeholders for desired social change, right? So this what do we take away from this editorial? We take away that when you're talking about family planning, women's health rights, women's education, and dealing with